What's up, YouTube? I'm Rob.
And this is Nick.
We are Coffee and Crypto. We are back again with another video for you on when to sell your crypto. But before we get into it, please go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel because it really helps us out with our growth. And most of our subscribers or most of our viewers are not subscribers. So go ahead, hit that like and subscribe. And Nick, let's get into it on how and when to sell your crypto and why that's important because you got to take profits along the way.
Yes, it's extremely important to just have a plan in place after you purchase or your dollar cost averaging. It's pretty evident right now that we are experiencing a bear market. So at the moment, people are dollar cost averaging. They're buying in at specific points. Maybe when they get their paycheck, they just throw a little more into the crypto market and just they're accumulating their favorite projects. But on the flip side, you need to take a look at, well, at some point, you need to take profits. You need to take some money off the table because there's always risk involved when you're investing in any asset. So how do you know when to sell? We're going to talk about that today. I'm a technical guy. Rob's more of a news Twitter person, but you can kind of use both of like the news and technical analysis to kind of figure out when you want to sell. I'm going to use VeChain as an example. It's one of my favorite projects. I know I keep bringing it up, but it's one of my favorite projects that I've researched. It passes all of my criteria that I've set in place for a project in terms of growth and things like that. But let's take a look back at.
Before you get into the charts,
All right, Rob.
just wanted to explain. It's called market psychology, Nick. But anyway, so market psychology, yes, just reading the market, seeing how people react. I do use that to to get a read on things and basically to make some predictions. That's just one strategy. But the reason why we're going over this today is because we're in a bear market. People are buying. People are dollar cost averaging in. And when you buy now, you need to have a point at which you sell to take profits. And you need to understand your risk tolerance on how long you're willing to hold a coin for and hold out to wait for those profits to come in. So Nick has VeChain pulled up on here. This has been a successful investment for him. So Nick, why don't you break down when you bought in, what point of the market was it? When did you start selling? How much did you start selling? Did you start selling a percentage? Did you hold on to a certain amount to let it ride and see where it goes? Because the markets are volatile. They go up and down and it can be confusing because you may just want to hold on to a project and you may think it may go to the moon. So Nick, why don't you break down your VeChain investment for us?
I'm trying to get my Fibonacci's aligned here to kind of show you guys what I was looking at because we kind of have to go back to 2020 to see the technicals that I was looking at the time because we didn't have all of this chart data to look at. So kind of imagine we're back in 2020. Everyone's scared because of the unnamed virus. So I was back here. We didn't have all of this data in 2021 yet.
The unspeakable virus.
All right, guys. Sorry, that took a little longer than I expected. I had to kind of go back in time and remember how I had the Fibonacci's set up when I was making my predictions for when I was planning on selling this investment because I had started accumulating VeChain in the bear market when we were way down here. I remember it was summer of 2019. It was right around 7/10 of a cent. Actually, it was way back here. I remember the spike up to over a penny, thinking I was like golden. The thing was starting to rally, and then look what happened. It was several more months of just bearish behavior until we finally
hodled.
Yeah, but yeah, I hodled because I believed in the project. It wasn't easy to hodl because there was FUD out there surrounding the whole crypto market, but I just kept just kept holding. I remember I had the Fibonacci's drawn like this. The 236 was on this rally, and then I drew the bottom here at the capitulation during COVID.
Said it.
That's okay. Anyways, so when do you sell? I like to use the technicals of the Fibonacci's when I am going to come up with my price targets. I remember for some reason I always had this round number of 50 cents in my head. I think it's because the 4.236 fib extension was up around that level, around 46 cents. I thought it could spike above that. However, you can't always assume that a project is going to hit its 4.236 Fibonacci extension. So the best thing you can do is maybe scale out of your position 25% once it gets up to the 1.618 level. And that is actually what I did in April of 2021. I started scaling out of my position. And thankfully, I had been dollar cost averaging for almost 2 years under a penny, and was able to sell 25% of the position. I think it was around 16 to 17 cents. There's actually a funny story involved in
What multiple return on investment is that? Like 5x, 10x?
it's like 20x for when I started selling the first 25%.
Yeah.
There's a funny story actually. When I went to sell, the private keys weren't working to reconstitute the wallet, and I had almost a heart attack. And it actually worked out in my favor, because when I finally figured out the private keys the next day, I think VeChain was trading at 18 cents, and I had started trying to sell it at 16. But anyways, we can talk about the details of that in another video. It's a pretty funny story. So in terms of when you sell, you take a look at the technicals when the bull market finally rolls around again, because bull markets, bear markets, they travel in several year cycles or longer term cycles. That's why we always zoom out on the charts to look at this stuff. You can scale out of your position. I had planned on waiting for the 4.236 extension up around 50 cents to scale out of my entire position, or even like a more 80% of it, and then hold the rest, because you never know what's going to happen. Unfortunately, the bear market came upon us, and I'm still sitting on a pretty large position of VeChain. I only sold about 25% of the position, and now I am I'm actually I'm hodling and dollar cost averaging to reaccumulate from the position I'd sold at around 17, 18 cents. So,
all right.
Got any questions, Rob?
I don't have any questions, but I do have some comments, because that is a good strategy. It's one strategy. It requires a little bit more understanding and more technicals, because Fibonacci is a technical indicator. Just to simplify for those who do not want to use, more in-depth technicals, I just want to go over some easy ways on when to sell. So if you were like Nick and you were buying in on a project, around here at low prices, and then you see something just go absolutely parabolic vertical and, increasing at a very high rate with its price and market cap, that's a good sign to start thinking about when you should start selling and taking some profits, because because things don't go up forever and indefinitely, especially in crypto when things are so volatile. There will always be a pullback or some sort of retracement where prices dip lower, and you could be selling at or near the top. It's very hard to time the top though. So a couple quick things you could do is, one strategy is, say you put in your initial investment. Let's just say that's $1,000. Once you double that money, so now you have 2,000, you can take out your initial investment. So you've covered your risk, and you let the profits ride based on, what your risk tolerance is. So you put in 1,000, it doubles, you take out your initial capital, and now you let the rest ride. And then you basically can take out percentages along the way on, what you're willing to tolerate. Another thing you can do is, when you see something start to go up and you're like, man, I don't know if this is going to keep going. The market looks good. The charts look good. The chat I hear, everything is moving in the right direction. People are investing into it. If you think something is going to keep going, you've made, significant returns on it. Maybe you've made a 2x, maybe you've made a 5x, maybe you've made a 10 or even 20, 25x like Nick. What you could do is, when you're up, 5, 10x, whatever it is, and you think it's going to keep going, you can set a stop loss order on that project. So say you're up 10x and you're like, well, this could go to 20x, but it could also go to 0. Well, you can set a stop loss at like, maybe 7 or 8x, where you would just sell the entire position or a percentage of that position automatic by default, like if the price were to go down. So you're basically going to sell, on like an automatic order, and you have the peace of mind knowing that you'll take your profits at some point because it's already set. And with the chance that it can go up, you're still kind of playing in the market if it will go up, and you're just letting those profits ride. So those are some quick and easy ways you can determine when to sell your crypto. It's a little bit less of a technical way. I think both are good, and you need to incorporate both strategies. And if you're in crypto, you need to understand and learn charts and price action eventually. So, you will need to do that if you want to be profitable. So I think that wraps it up for my comments, unless you have anything to
I just
say.
wanted to say one more thing. Can you just you kind of have to put yourself in the investor's shoes when can you imagine how I was feeling at this moment, like when it was up 17 cents and I had sold a little bit and then I saw it running up to 25, 26, 27 cents. You're going, oh, shoot, maybe I shouldn't have sold. And like, that's kind of like one of the things I've learned in this last bull cycle is I need to start keeping kind of an emotional log of how I'm feeling at certain points during the cycle. I think that is extremely like prudent to do for any type of an investor because right down here, I was feeling pretty down and depressed. Right here, I was feeling overjoyed and almost like too excited that I wanted to keep holding, that it was going to keep going. So that's why it's always good to take some profits off the table. And you always feel like an idiot when you're selling into this massive run. But 9 times out of 10, it's the right decision when things are going parabolic like this. That's kind of all I wanted to say. I'm going to start keeping an emotional log.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. When things are going up and it's a bull market, you look at prices every day and you see things just ripping, and you're like, oh, it's going to keep going up, and you just feel good. And you see your profits. It's hard to sell at that point. So market psychology and self-awareness of where you're at in your portfolio in perspective to the market and the market cycles is very important. But I will say it's very hard to time the top. And I don't know, like I definitely didn't time the top, but I did end up selling Ethereum at the top. I will say that it just like by what was going on, and when I decided to sell it was like literally like in the 4,000 plus minus range. I forget what the actual top was, but it was right around there. So maybe I have some secret tricks up my sleeve.
That sounds pretty lucky. All right. I think we can wrap it up there unless you got anything else to say, Rob.
Yes. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.
And one final thing, we are not financial advisors. Do your own research, and we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.